Thank you, Beth. I want to say good morning to everyone. As Beth said, my name is Gregory Davis, and I'd like to welcome each of you to today's webinar on energy monitoring tools. All of PGE seminars and webinars are in part sponsored by the Energy Trust of Oregon. We work together to make sure the concepts and recommendations you learn in our events are consistent across all of our individual programs and services. And I also want to point out, this is the disclaimer here, that you do not have to buy energy information services from PGE to continue to receive your current electricity service from Portland General Electric. PGE is one of several vendors for this type of service. And I'd also like to mention that the products mentioned in this presentation are used as examples only. We are not endorsing any one product over another. And with that, this is the official welcome. This is what we'll be talking about today. We're going to talk about what it takes to create an energy monitoring plan. We'll take a look at a typical electrical bill. We'll look at what it takes or what it involves to do monthly consumption tracking and what it might be able to show you. Then we'll look at some specific tools, some energy monitoring tools, Energy Tracker, third-party tools, and energy experts. There will be a slide on incentives given by the Energy Trust of Oregon, and then we'll summarize the presentation's main points, and there'll be an opportunity for questions at the end as well. So in this webinar, I want to make sure, this is what we'd like you to do, is be able to understand what an energy monitoring plan is. So hopefully after we finish here, you'll understand what it takes to create an energy monitoring plan. And we will at least examine ways, or you'll be able to examine ways that you can track your energy consumption. And then we'll also give you an opportunity to examine just some tools that are out there for monitoring your energy usage. But before we get started, let's find out who we have out there. Using the tool that Beth described at the beginning of the webinar, could each of you just choose a description that best describes the type of work you do, just so we get an idea of what type of people we have joining us today? I see we have a facility manager. Energy resource manager. I'll give you guys a couple more moments. I know the first time you use the tool, it's, how should I say it, you have to kind of figure out what do I want to do, where I want to go. Another facility manager, yeah, okay. Some others, okay. Well, we'll just go on and get started, but welcome to all of you, and I hope that you'll be able to garner some information from this webinar. So what is an energy monitoring plan? So essentially an energy monitoring plan, you have to decide a few things. Number one, first of all, you have to decide, well, I am going to track my energy. Where am I going to get that information? And one of the easiest ways to get the information about your energy usage is you want to track it on your utility bill. So that gets sent to you every month. It's real easy. You also might want to consider interval data. And that's where you're looking at actual meter data, and we'll talk about that concept a little bit more in the presentation. And you want to understand how you want to document the data that you have. In addition to that, you want to somehow document your operating schedules as well. So in essence, what you're trying to do in the first part here is, well, kind of understand how you expect to use energy, right? You look at your bills, you try and understand what your operating schedules are, so you have a general idea of how you think you use energy. And then once you actually start collecting data, you start putting all of that information onto a spreadsheet or onto some sort of sheet where you can look at your usage over time. You create what we call a load profile. And what the load profile is, it really shows you how you are actually using energy. And it could be a low profile for the year, it could be a low profile for the month or for the week or for the day. But we'll show you an example of a low profile, but you can actually see when you use the most energy within the period you're looking at. And then once you've created that low profile, once you have an idea of how you are using energy, then you can evaluate it on a day-to-day basis. So if for some reason the energy that you're using comes in well above what the low profile shows what you normally use, then you have an idea that, well, maybe I'm using more energy and I shouldn't be, so I should be asking some questions why that is. And if you do ask the questions and you come up with some ideas of what the problem potentially could be, you can then take corrective action. And once you've looked at your daily usage, compared it to your historical usage, taking corrective actions, then you could potentially, if you solve the problem, then you need to, you analyze it to make sure you solve the problem, and then you need to document it to make sure you don't repeat the same problems again, or you don't have the same problems again, so you don't make the same mistakes. So generally, that's what the monitoring plan is. You need to gather the information, somehow collate it together so it makes sense to you. Then you compare that historical information to what your usage is today, make adjustments as necessary, and then you document the results. So as I indicated, one of the easiest ways to get energy information is from an electrical bill, and so we'll just kind of walk through what a typical electrical bill looks like. So the amount that most of us are always interested in is the current charges, right? That's what comes to us every month. It comes in the mail, and this is what you worry about. This is what you write your, the amount that you write your check for. And thank you very much for those checks, very much. We also, but it's not just so like the total, how should I say, the total energy that you're interested in. There's other data on this bill which may be useful when you are creating your energy plan. So one thing you will notice is that the current charges, the total charges, are made up of several different charges. There are the energy charges, there's some adjustments, there's also taxes and fees, and those all add up to your current charges. So this is all the information is on every bill that we send out, be it electronically or by paper. And on the bill, there's just two other things I want to point out to you. Number one is the information that is essentially right under the charges. So you see here it says point of delivery identification. So in addition to your service address, the 1235 Main Avenue or wherever you are, we also look at this pod ID number, and that's a unique number to every single customer, to every single actually meter on site. And so if you want to impress somebody, if you're calling PG&E and you want to tell them that you're having a problem with your meter, if you say, yeah, it's pod ID and the pod ID number will be right here, they'll understand exactly who you are and where you are. So if you want to make some points with the PG&E people. The other thing I want to point out is the schedule. It's noted in a couple of places. Schedule 83 at this customer. It's noted here as well. The schedule is what we use to charge our customers. There are several schedules out there, Schedule 32, Schedule 83, Schedule 85, depending on what type of customer you are. But that is what defines specifically how we charge you. And if you go to our website and look up the tariffs and schedules, you'll be able to find specifically what the schedule is for your usage, and you can understand exactly what we charge you for all of the different charges that show up on your energy bill. So anyway, I want to point out before on the next slide, we're going to talk about the energy charges specifically. So on this next slide, you'll see the 3645 corresponds to the 3645 here, which is all of your energy charges, which is made up of a basic charge, system usage charges, and this is where we charge you for the kilowatt hour usage that happens on a daily basis or on a monthly basis. And this is essentially all of the electrons that we deliver to your site, the electricity we deliver to your site, this is what we charge you for. And you'll see that This is about 80% of this customer's bill, and that's the bulk of most people's bill as well. Then there's also what we call a demand charge. And demand charge, think of it as the electricity you use in a specific amount of time. Just a real quick example, let's say you use 1,000 kilowatt hours and you use that over 10 hours. So you are essentially using 100 kilowatts per hour. And you will get charged, you will get charged a certain amount for using 100 kilowatts per hour. But let's say instead of using 100 kilowatts per hour, you use 910 kilowatts in the first hour and then 10 kilowatt each hour after that. So you're still using 1,000 kilowatt hours, but you potentially could get charged slightly differently because you're demanding more electricity for a shorter period of time than you are if you're just using 100 kilowatts per hour. So that's what the demand charge is. And then there's some additional charges as far as transmission charge, distribution charge. These are all charges that are approved by the Oregon Public Utilities Commission. I just want to say we're not haphazardly, throwing charges onto your bill, but all of these charges add up to the energy charge that is applied to your bill every month. And then come the adjustments. There was 584 on the page, the previous page that we had. This corresponds to the 584 there. I'm not going to go into all the different adjustments there, truthfully, because I don't know what they all mean in some cases. But you can see that there are credits and there are charges. And in this particular case, the total adjustments comes out to $5.84. And then, of course, there's the taxes and fees. The only thing I really want to point out about this is there is a public purpose charge that almost all customers in Oregon pay, be it from Portland General Electric or any other utility. This public purpose charge goes to the Energy Trust of Oregon. And we have a slide later in this presentation that shows that where someone will tell you about exactly what this public purpose charge is for and how it supports energy efficiency programs in the state of Oregon. So now we know where to get the information. Let's see what it takes to start tracking our usage on a monthly basis. So it's easiest to do in a spreadsheet, and all you need to do is get a copy of the utility bill, something very similar to what we just looked at. You want to enter the KWH data in the spreadsheet. You can also enter the actual billing data in the spreadsheet as well. You have some options where you can do the total billing or you can just do the energy charging. In this particular case, they are taking a factor where they're using the total KWH, and then they are dividing it by the number of days in the periods to give you a KWH per day figure. That's up to you if that makes sense to you, so you understand what you're using on a daily basis. That's fine. So you enter this data on a spreadsheet, and then you repeat it each month. So it could take a little while for you to really come up with a total load profile of how you're using your energy usage throughout the year, or you have the option of getting old information, old billing information, and putting that in the spreadsheet too. So I know that I keep at least a year's worth of my bills, in my file cabinet. So you just pull those out of your file cabinet, pull the information off the bill, and eventually you will come up with a chart that looks like this. For this customer, we're looking at the load profile over the years. This customer started pulling in information in 2007. You see the little orange line here. In 2007, they started in September. And then in 2008, 2009, 2008 is the green line. 2009 is the pink or purple line. And you can see that their consumption is pretty much the same for those years. It's very little in the winter season, January, February, and March, or it's lower in the winter season. And then you can see it rises up in the summertime, probably due to air conditioning at this particular facility. All right. But then you see in 2010, something happened that changed. Here, they started the year normally, but then all of a sudden you can see that they started using much less energy as time went on. When it started to ramp up for the summer, it did ramp up, but it was much less of a ramp, or it's just, using much less energy. In fact, they're using approximately 2,000 kilowatt hours per day less because of this. And essentially what happened here, this was a retail customer, and what they did, they replaced their existing lighting system with a much more efficient lighting system. And so by doing that and tracking their energy, you can see the impact of changes you make in your behavior in your energy, in your load profile here, in your energy plan. They saved about 200 kilowatt hours per day, which translates into, if you're paying 5 cents per kilowatt hour, about $100 a day just by putting in this lighting project in. So you can see that by monitoring energy, you can not only find out when things are going wrong. Well, I'm going to back up a little bit. First of all, I want to tell you that when you do monitor energy, it's not going to give you the questions. It's not going to answer your questions for you. It's not going to show you, oh, this particular piece of equipment turned on at this particular time. It's not going to show you that. But it will show you where your information or where your energy usage is going outside of normal. It shows you where things might be going right or where things might be going wrong. And if you see that things are going outside of normal, something's going wrong, then you can ask the question, what's going on here? What's the problem? And you can investigate and hopefully find the resolution to that and make adjustments so the problem goes away. So in this particular case, something was going very right, and we know exactly what's happening here. The customer put in a higher efficiency lighting system. That is why they're using much less energy, and it gets shown by the consumption charts that we have created here. So it shows you how your usage is over the period of time that you're looking at it. So monitoring your monthly bills is a good idea. You can see it can show you where things are going out of whack or where things are improving greatly. It provides you visibility into your overall usage. It provides, and you can see trends over time, as we saw in the example that I showed you. The data, as I said, is readily available. It's on your bill. You just pull it off your bill and put it into your spreadsheet, and it's right there for you, and you only have to do it monthly. So it's not too time demanding. But the problem with that is the fact that it is only done on a monthly basis. It can take up to 30 days to actually see your usage data, and so if there is a problem in the middle of the month, you won't see it until you get your bill at the end of the month. For an example, let's say for some reason somebody changes the schedule for all your lighting systems and they turn on at 12 o'clock midnight and turn off at 6 o'clock in the morning. And what happens? Nobody's around, everybody's at home, nobody sees that, but that happens for day in and day out for 15 days. And then when the bill comes, you start seeing, hey, I'm seeing more consumption than I'm normally seeing on a regular basis. So there's a problem here. Then you can ask those questions and find out, oh yes, the lighting systems have been turning on, somebody changed the controls or whatever the case may be. You can fix it, but you will not have been able to fix it for those 15 days, and that will have cost you money. And it costs you money you didn't have to spend if you had visibility on a daily basis or even a weekly basis. You can make corrections a little bit more often, or you can react to problems a little bit more quickly if you're looking at something a little bit more often than monthly. So a big con for just tracking on a monthly basis is you don't have visibility into daily usage. And like I was in my example, it can take a significant amount of time for you to fix the problem, and then also it can take time for you to get enough data and understand what your true trends are too. If you don't have your historical bills, that could take some time as well. So interval data. Interval data, we mentioned that earlier. It's a concept where you're actually capturing information at much smaller time increments. You can get information on a weekly basis, daily basis, hourly basis, or even sub-hourly basis. Typically, when you're talking to somebody in the industry, you're talking about 15-minute intervals. That's typically what you get. And usually with 15-minute intervals, you can see enough information about your usage, but you can also get 5-minute intervals. In fact, in some cases, you can get real-time. You get your information in real time. And just a general rule of thumb, the smaller the interval that you're looking at, potentially could be the more expensive cost, right? So if your bills are free, they come to you. They're not free, you got to pay them, but the bills come to you every month, and that information on there you can use at no extra charge, and you create your plan and look at your overall usage trends. That comes at no cost to you. But if you want to look at your information in real time, there's usually an additional charge. A company will charge you on a monthly basis, or it could be by meter basis, in order to see that information in much smaller intervals. So just the smaller the interval, the more it potentially could cost you. That's my point there. But if you're looking at interval data, it can answer a bunch of questions. It can tell you when to use your most energy, not only on a monthly basis, but on a daily basis. It can tell you when, if you're using more of your energy in the middle of the day, in the middle of the night. It can show you, or at least help you identify problems before the bill comes. In my particular example, if you were looking at daily information, you would have known within the first 1 or 2 days that the lights were turning on in the middle of the night, or you were using more energy than you needed to, and you could have quickly identified that there was a lighting problem and made the appropriate adjustments. It gives you an idea if your energy improvements are working. You'll know a little bit faster. You'll know a little bit faster, as I said, when something changes and goes out of whack. You'll understand how that works as well. And then with interval data, you have the opportunity to compare your usage to actual weather data. You can understand how weather affects your operations as well, because there's enough granularity in the interval data where you can actually see the movement of your usage and compare it to the movement of temperature. And some tools can automatically do that for you. In addition, interval data can allow you to see where problems are, so you can kind of understand where equipment might be starting up too soon or shutting down too late. You can understand where weekend or holiday schedules, they might be incorrect. You can understand where equipment might be stopping or starting when it shouldn't. And you can understand where controls are actually programmed incorrectly. These are all types of things that interval information, interval data might be able to show you where those problems are. So everybody's sold now, as versus monthly data versus interval data. I know everybody say, yeah, interval data, that's for me. That's what we're going to get. That's what I want. Well, the next few slides will show you some of the tools where you might be able to get some interval data. And the first thing I want to talk about is Energy Tracker. Energy Tracker is a free online tool that's available to residential and most of our commercial customers, usually small, medium, large commercial customers. It's easily accessed. You can just go to portlandgeneral.com/energy tracker. All you have to do is log into the website, and once you've logged into the website, you can access Energy Tracker and access your energy usage data. One very nice thing about Energy Tracker is this data is exportable. So if you are creating your own monitoring plan, you can use the data here and export it onto your spreadsheet and then create the charts and graphs that you want. But as you can see, Energy Tracker does have some charts that are useful to you. On the right side of this slide, you can see an example of a chart that Energy Tracker provides. In this particular case, we're looking at daily information. You can see that the color codes show us where the weekends are versus where the weekdays are. Again, this information is downloadable, and Energy Tracker also gives you the ability to look at this information on a daily basis, in some cases even hourly basis. It depends on what meter you have and how it is set up in our system. That determines what kind of interval data that you can actually get. But again, this interval data is exportable. All you need to do is hit the little export link that's in the chart or right above the chart. Energy Tracker also has billing data in there. It gives you billing data and also billing insights. So from one period to the next, if for some reason you might be using more energy than is expected, it gives you hints and tips on what you might do to reduce your energy usage. And again, all this information is downloadable. In Energy Tracker, there is about 13 months of meter data, and there is 2 years of billing data. And so that's, if you are creating your own energy plan and you're doing it on a monthly basis, this is one place you can go to pull down your billing data. It's all in Energy Tracker. So I've got another question for the group. How many of you have actually gone to portlandgeneral.com and created a profile?
Gregory, I just want to take a minute to remind people that if they can't see their marker tool, they just need to click on that top marker beneath the Quick Start tab. That will open it up, and about halfway down the list is a little marker icon, and you can use that to select what you'd like. Thank you.
All right. Oh, we were going 50-50 between yes and no. Ooh, the yeses are winning now. That's good. That's good. So the next question is, of those people who have created a full profile, how many have viewed your energy usage information using Energy Tracker? Wow, okay, a lot of no's. So I hope you take this opportunity to take a look at it. Go to portlandgeneral.com, take a look at Energy Tracker, and just take a quick tour, quick look at what you can do with Energy Tracker and what information is available for you. So there are several third-party tools that are available to our customers, to all energy users actually, and these tools generally provide charts and graphs of your energy usage, similar to what what you saw with Energy Tracker. Prices range for these products. They range from free options, and usually with the free option there are standard graphs and charts that you can look at, and that's essentially what you have with Energy Tracker. And typically for the free options, you only can analyze monthly billing data. That's not a stead and fast rule, but typically what you'll run into. And then there are paid services. Paid services, they have customizable graphs and charts of your energy usage. So if in some cases, if it doesn't look at just the month or the week, you can actually customize and look at for the last 6 weeks, or look at for the whole year, and you can compare this week to 3 weeks ago, or this week to 4 weeks ago. So it's more customizable, so it gives you more options as far as how you're viewing your data. Generally for the paid services, they use interval data as opposed to just monthly data. And then paid services will also provide you a forecast. They'll use historical data and create a forecast of what the expected use is going to be for tomorrow and the next day and the next day. These are just a few examples of some tools that are out there. There is the Building Energy Asset Score. Now, this is not really a monitoring tool, but it does give you a way of standardizing your usage and assessing what your usage is to buildings of the same size or same type, so it gives you a way of assessing it, assessing your energy efficiency, and gives you a way of comparing that to buildings that are like yours or in the same industry. There's the Building Energy, the Energy Efficiency Project Engine. This is a free engine, and this also evaluates your building efficiency, and it identifies improvement projects, and it also can develop business justifications. You might go to the site if you are thinking about putting in some sort of energy efficiency project in place, and this one essentially gives you the tools on how to evaluate the impact of potentially what that project could be, and it gives you an idea of what your payback period is as well. There is another company called 38Zeros. This is a local company, and they offer an integrated solution that provides hardware, software, cellular data transmission, and cloud data storage that allows you to monitor your energy usage. And this is one of those companies that will provide near real-time usage information. So this company is, again, it's a local company right here. One of the third-party tools I want to spend a little more time on is Energy Star Portfolio Manager. Now, this is a free service. It's provided through the Energy Star program that is sponsored by the EPA. It is a program that provides metrics, and it's a metrics calculator that generates key performance indicators for electrical usage, gas usage, and water consumption, and it'll even estimate what your greenhouse gas emissions are. So it's a management tool, and it's a platform, again, provided by the EPA, and it helps identify building efficiencies. It gives you a score. It allows you to compare your building efficiencies to building efficiencies of other folks in your industry using what they call the Energy Star rating score, and it's a score from 1 to 100. It allows people to, identify and prioritize their poorer performing facilities. So those with the lower score, they might want to put more energy and more effort and more development time and monies into so they can make those buildings more efficient. And it also helps you understand the contribution of your energy expenditures to the overall operational cost. So it tries to track not only your energy usage, but what you're actually spending on energy usage as well. Now, this is becoming somewhat important for the people in the city of Portland because in 2015, the city of Portland passed the ordinance 187095. And essentially what this ordinance does, it requires owners to track energy usage in portfolio managers. This impacts buildings with a total area of 20,000 square feet or above. So in 2016, companies that have square footage of 50,000 square feet are required to report their usage, energy usage in Portfolio Manager. And in 2017, that's what will impact people who have square footage of 20,000 square feet or above. Now, Portland General Electric offered several classes last year to support or give people information about the reporting process, and we'll also offer more classes this year to help people with the reporting process as well. So to find out more information, just go to our education site. There's a link for the education site later in this presentation. So if you're interested, or if you're interested in Energy Star Portfolio Manager, there's a link for that as well. So my next question to the group is, how many of you track energy usage? Again, use the tools that Beth has told you about. Okay. So we have a lot of people who look at their monthly bills, and there is one person who uses a spreadsheet. Okay. All right. So the last thing I want to tell you about in this presentation is Energy Expert. Energy Expert is a tool that's offered by PGE, and it is an online tool, and it allows you to monitor and analyze your energy usage. You can apply it to a single meter, a single facility, an entire complex, any number of meters that you have, you can enroll into the program. But it is a fee service, it's a per meter fee service, so it does cost money to do that. The way Energy Expert works is each day 15-minute interval data is downloaded from your meter. That happens like at midnight to 6 in the morning. And then files are created and communicated to our vendor who provides us with the Energy Expert service, and those files are processed. So usually about 11 or 12 o'clock each day, customers can then log into the tool and access their energy data. And they can create charts and graphs and reports that'll show them how they are using that data. It gives you very detailed analysis of over a day, a month, a week, a year, whatever the case may be. You have the option to make those choices. And you can also set up this system so it automatically sends reports to you when the data is available. So if you have a building and you want to find out how well your building did yesterday, you can have a report sent to you automatically that shows, hey, the building did just fine, or oh, it used more energy than expected, or it used less energy than expected. This next slide shows a couple of examples of the charts that you can create in Energy Expert. In the slide on the left, you can see we're looking at multiple buildings, and in this particular case, we're just doing a comparison of what the usage is for the building over the month. In this particular case, we're looking from July, for the month of July, from July 1st to August 1st. And this is what the total usage is for the month. You can see that building 5 used the most energy, and then building 1, building 3, and building 4, and then there's no energy used in building 2. The other chart shows you what the usage is on a daily basis, and you'll notice there's some indicators. There's some green indicators, there's some red indicators, and blue indicators. The green says you are within the forecast. You are within you used what was expected to be used. The red indicates you used more than what was expected, and then the blue indicates you used less than what was expected. And it makes a little more sense on the next chart, which kind of shows you, instead of looking at a top-level view where we're looking at multiple buildings, where we're looking at a single building over a single day. In this particular case, we're looking at the building 1 for this day on June 15th, and you can see what the profile is. Now, this gray bar that you see around the usage, here's the top of the gray bar and the bottom gray area. That is the forecast. Essentially what the tool does, it forecasts what the usage should be for that particular day, and then it gives you a factor of plus minus 10%. And you can choose that factor too. If you are enrolled in the program, you can choose whether you want a 5% factor or a 20% factor, doesn't matter. So anyway, so that's what the forecast is, and when it's green, it is within the forecast. When it's red, it's above the forecast. And if there are any below the forecast, they would be blue. Okay? In this particular case, we're looking at daily usage. In this building, it looks like something started too soon, and it looks like something shut off too late. Again, we don't know exactly what, but the red kind of indicates there is a potential problem here, so you can stop and ask some questions about what's going on. In this particular case, this problem occurred because there was a change in shift, a change in work schedules, and adjustments were made to the climate controls, but the forecast didn't pick it up. So this was actually expected usage, but it was a recent shift, so the forecast did not pick up the change. So in this particular case, you see red, but there was no problem because it was expected. Here's another example of a chart that you can see in Energy Expert. It's a monthly view, and this gives you kind of a view of what happens every, on each day, and it gives you just a top-level view. In this particular case, we're looking at some unusual activity during the weekends. In fact, it's every other weekend we're seeing some kind of odd activity that's going on. And if you look at it at a top level where you're looking at a monthly view, it makes it, you can very easily look at a chart that looks at a daily view. So we're going to be looking at one of the weekends, and we can see that this is a Saturday and this is a Sunday, and it looks like there's some expected usage on the Sunday, but it happened later than normal. And it looks like what's supposed to happen on Sunday, this is your Sunday, this is your Saturday, what's supposed to happen on Sunday is happening on Saturday too. So there's some sort of unplanned usage that's happening on the weekend. It might be maintenance, it might be testing equipment or something like that, but certainly it's not in the forecast, so it certainly would point out to the person in charge, to the person who's monitoring this, that they need to at least ask some questions, what's going on. So again, monitoring doesn't tell you what the problem is, but it certainly will tell you where a problem could be. These next few slides are just examples of different load profiles for different types of businesses. Here's a load profile for a grocery store. Here's a load profile for administrative office. This is what you would expect. People start showing up in the morning and start going home in the evening. It's a load profile for a food processing plant. You can see there's a potential problem here where an expected dip of usage around 6 o'clock actually didn't happen. It could be that this is when people go home before, at the day shift, and then the night shift takes over. Probably about 9 o'clock, and perhaps they just work straight through. That's a possibility. It's a manufacturing plant. And this is an industrial site. So now I'd like to hand over control of the presentation to Ellen, who will talk to us about the Energy Trust of Oregon.
Hello, my name is Ellen Crowdy, and I'm with Energy Trust of Oregon. I'm an account manager with the existing building program. Our job is to identify opportunities to save energy at your business facilities and to help you take advantage of the Energy Trust technical services and cash incentives when you make upgrades or install equipment that saves energy and reduces your energy costs. Energy Trust of Oregon provides incentives for customers of Portland General Electric, Pacific Power, Northwest Natural, and Cascade Natural Gas. These are all companies that pay into our public purpose fund, the fund that funds this program, that funds Energy Trust programs and provides the incentives. There's incentives for many types of upgrades, including lighting, HVAC, food services, mechanical, production efficiency, solar, thermal. There's really just more than I can identify and talk about in the time we have. I would encourage you to go to our website, to energytrust.org, or call our toll-free number, or email us. There's a lot of services that we provide, and please contact us to learn more about it. I want to thank you for your interest in saving energy at your business and just looking at how your energy is used. And if you have questions, we will be addressing them at the end of the webinar. So I'd be glad to answer questions on our program. But right now, I'm going to just turn it back to our host for the closing part of it, and then we can go to questions later. Greg?
All right. Thank you, Ellen. So in summary, we've talked about what it takes to create an overall monitoring plan. Essentially what you're trying to do is understand where you're going to get information from, you know, and are you going to get it from your bill? You're going to try and get monthly, daily, or hourly information. You want to use the available resources that are out there. It could be for your monthly bill. You see you have an option of using Energy Tracker. And then once you've gathered all this information, you want to put it in some form where you can view that information, be it a spreadsheet, have a third-party tool upload that information so it can create the charts for you automatically, or just use the charts that are available in Energy Tracker. Or you can use a third-party tool like Energy Expert where you can look at some of your information, look at your information in multiple formats in an in-depth way. What you're always trying to do is compare your current usage to your historical uses and make decisions if it's right or if you need to take corrective action. And if you do need to take corrective action, you need to document the changes you make so you don't repeat those same mistakes in the future. And so because those mistakes, as you know, can cost you energy usage, which can cost you money. So there are additional resources that you can go to. You can go to our website, portlandgeneral.com. On that website, there are links to Energy Tracker, there are links to Energy Expert, and there are also links to the Energy Star Portfolio Manager, but you can go directly to the Energy Star Portfolio Manager website as well. And all of these links will be in the PDF file that we send to you after the presentation. And if you're interested in learning more about PGE's Energy Information Services products that we talked about in this webinar, please feel free to give me a call. That is my number. You can send me an email at eis@pgn.com. And at this time, I'd like to return control of this webinar to our host, Beth.
Thank you, Gregory. And just a brief reminder before we proceed to questions that PGE and Energy Trust provide free energy efficiency consultations, and we can do this on-site or in person. A good place to start would be contacting Paula Conway at PGE, and if she is not the right person and you need to speak with a different representative of Energy Trust, she can refer you to them. Her contact information is here on the screen. And before we proceed to the questions, I'd like to remind you that you can continue to submit questions to me through chat, and I will ask them. But our first question, Gregory, is we have over 50 buildings being served by PGE. Is there a way to look at a combined report of our data?
So the best way is in Energy Expert, because Energy Expert can compile or organize your data any way you want to. So you can look at a single number for all your buildings, or you can look at your buildings separately. Unfortunately, Energy Tracker and most of the free tools that you'll run across will only show you energy usage for 1 meter at a time. So you would need a tool, I believe, that there is some charge for that can aggregate those meters for you. And I know for sure that Energy Expert can do it for you.
Thank you, Gregory. And I think this is a somewhat related question. How does, excuse me, how does a third party get access to our accounts?
It depends on what the third party is doing or how they're using it. For some third parties, we have set up what we call FTP sites, where we just download information from our servers to the FTP site where it automatically goes up to the third party. Those are rare, and truthfully those are kind of expensive, but we have 3 or 4 third parties out there that we do this with already, so if you happen to contract with one of those people, it becomes very easy. Then there is a way of you just giving them access to your energy tracker information so they can download it themselves. That's another way of doing it. So those are the two simplest ways I can think of. And then if you have a specific need, a specific requirement, I would say just give me a call, send me an email, and we can talk about it. And we can really talk about the best way of handling it for you.
Great, thanks, Gregory. Next question is, you indicated that each customer is charged a specific rate schedule. Can we change our rate schedules?
Yes, yes, you can. You probably, before you make a change like that, you probably want to talk to somebody at our customer service center. Just give them a call, just let them know what you're thinking about, and they can kind of walk you through the process of doing that. In some cases it might make sense. In some cases, you might want to stay with the rate schedule that you're on. In some cases, unfortunately, you might not be able to change, but I think all of our customers have an option. The smallest and the largest have some sort of option of choosing how we deliver power to them.
Next question, thank you, Gregory. Next question is, how much does it cost to get interval data?
So for Energy Expert, if you decided to enroll in that program, it costs $70 per meter per month, and then there is a setup fee as well. For some other services, if you happen to use one of our one of the services that already has an FTP site, it could be as little as $30 per month per meter. And then some of our customers choose to have a special monitor attached to their meter. We call it a KYZ monitor. And what happens there is a one-time charge of $500, and we connect that monitor, and it's a pulse output monitor. We connect it to the meter, and then it's up to the customer to connect to that meter and grab the pulses that are coming out from that monitor. And that is a way of getting almost real-time data from the meter.
Thank you, Gregory. And next question is, what rules of thumb can I use when looking at my energy data to help me determine if I need to make some changes?
Primarily, it's comparing your historical data to today's usage. If you see a change that's greater than about 10%, then you really need to asking some questions. Why is there a change? And it could be a change where you're using 10% more, or a change where you're using 10% less. You really, if you see that type of change, you start asking those questions, because there could be something, if you're not aware of something changing, there could be something changing at your facility that you need to stop or just need to address.
Thanks, Gregory. And it looks like we have time for one more question, and that is, how does Energy Expert help with benchmarking?
So with benchmarking, you have the ability of choosing what your, let's just say your forecast baseline is. So if, let's say you know that in 2014 that you were running at a certain level as far as you were less efficient, and then in 2015 you decided to implement a number of energy efficiency programs or projects, you can choose to baseline 2014 and then compare your usage through the next couple of years, through 2016, 2017, compare that to 2014 so you can see the impact of your energy saving programs as compared to 2014. So Energy Expert allows you to choose what baseline you have or what baseline you want and always compare to that particular baseline. For most customers, we like to have them use a rolling baseline, so they're always comparing today's usage to usage from a year ago, but it's up to the customer. You have a choice.
Thank you, Gregory. That was our last question, and I'd like to thank you all for joining us today.